Welcome back, everyone. All right, so episode 2 of AGP Quickies. This is exciting. We're back. Hopefully, you're back. And if you're not back, you're new. So let's get this going. Today, we are going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII and Obi-Wan, of course, because Obi-Wan's kind of a big deal. So here we go. Let's jump right into it. Max, Final Fantasy VII was a huge deal for you growing up. Tell us a little bit about why that is and what makes Final Fantasy VII special.
Why that is. Okay, so Final Fantasy VII is a big deal for me because growing up it was like the first RPGs, well, especially Japanese RPG that I ever played. And to this day it's still like my favorite game ever. I just think the story is super like interesting. It's deep, and it comes from a time where like storytelling in video games was like kind of new. Like, you know what I mean? Like Mario doesn't have a story. When sure, you're jumping around on on little things and grabbing mushrooms. You're a plumber. There's no story. It's just silly. Zelda had a little bit of a story, but not much. But then you got the Final Fantasy games that are coming in like you're reading a book. I remember I would joke with my mom as a kid that like, well, yeah, I'm playing a video game, but you know how much reading there is? Which now there's no reading and you're watching a movie. But yeah, dude, FF7, I'm super excited about like all the new stuff. Do you want me to go into kind of the new announcements, or were you going to get in touch on that?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so there were 4 things that they announced in this 10-minute stream on I think it was like last Thursday or something like that. One of them I don't care at all, but I'll touch on it briefly. One was that there's this First Soldier mobile game. It's like a battle royale thing, and there's like some more updates on it. I don't care about that. I'm not into mobile games. I'm not into battle royales. I don't really care. But there are 3 things that they announced that I'm really excited about. One is Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which is essentially a mobile like remake or compilation of pretty much all of Final Fantasy VII lore. It's got the original Final Fantasy VII remade in mobile. It's got Crisis Core. It's going to have Dirge of Cerberus, as I understand it. And I feel like I maybe even heard that Advent Children is going to be like added into this somehow as like in a playable form. I might be wrong about that, but I know that the other 3 are going to be included. And so it's going to be like, it's a mobile game, which isn't like my favorite, but it's like basically the same as FF7 from what they've shown us of the videos. And so that's really exciting. They're going to be launching a beta for it later this year, and the intention is once it releases, they're going to like release new content every month. So it's like you'll get it piecemeal, because that's a lot. Like if you've played those games, Dirge of Cerberus, FF7, Crisis Core, there's a lot there. So I think it's kind of cool that it's going to be free with like in-game purchases like all mobile games have. I just hope it's not one of those situations where it's like, all right, you've played 10 minutes today, buy more shards in order to get more playtime. That would be annoying. Like, if it's like packs to get new skins or whatever, like that's fine. I just won't, get new skins.
No, it's your gil, man. Your gil slowly.
It might that's true. It probably is gil. You can't buy weapons. You can't buy potions. Yeah, that might be the case actually. That's exciting. But go ahead.
You got to win like 10 million chocobo races to like keep playing the game.
You know what? It's a mobile game. There probably will be some of that crap, unfortunately. But as exciting as that is, like I think it's cool. I'm gonna play it. The 2 big announcements that I think we really want to touch on are that Crisis Core, a game that came out in 2007, revolves around Zack. Crisis Core is being remade, and it comes out this winter. They didn't give us an official release date, but they said it's coming out this year. It's a remake. It's coming to Xbox One, Series X, PS4, PS5, PC, Switch. It's coming to everything. And I think what that means is it's not going to be quite as pretty as like FF7 Remake was. But based on the videos, it looks nice enough to me. It's an updated version of this game. I'm stoked about this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal too that it's coming to Xbox for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you have a PS5, but you prefer to play on your Xbox, and I'm stoked.
Yeah, so I mean that was really surprising to me that they decided to branch out from Sony, especially because it was supposed to be timed with the remake, and so I'm like, I didn't have my PS5.
You're still waiting.
Yeah, I'm sitting back waiting, like, can I play this yet? You know?
Yeah,
But
now we're
no.
2 years on, it's still not on Xbox. I don't know if it's ever gonna come to Xbox, FF7 Remake. I
I
honestly
doubt
am
it.
not sure if it's going to. I mean, whatever. I own it on PC now as of this week, as of like 2 days ago, and I have it on PS5, so I can
Unless
play it.
Microsoft just decides we're buying Sony now because they're buying everybody.
That'd be a big deal. I think that would not go through the courts. That'd be a problem. And then, yeah, the final piece of it, which is really exciting, is FF7 Remake Part 2, which is going to be called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's coming out next winter. And I'm really surprised by this. Like, when the original remake came out in 2020, I just assumed it was going to be like 5 years before the next one. So I'm pretty excited that it's only going to be 3. And the other exciting thing to me is that they said that it's going to be a 3-part remake. A lot of people were worried that they were going to try to piecemeal this thing out and do like 7 games out of it or 10 games, or which I understand, like that can be annoying, but they're doing 3, and I think that's cool. Like, there were 3 discs back in the day. We're going to get 3 games that are going to expand on everything a lot, and it's coming out next year. Although I wouldn't be surprised if that gets delayed to 2024. But
Everything's delayed now.
yeah, but yeah, I'm stoked. What do you think about this news?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's interesting. It looks like this is where they're gonna start deviating like a lot more from the original story. Like, it looks like Zach is in there, and they don't really leave. It doesn't seem like they really leave Midgar much. Like, it looks like they're in a city, like pretty much the whole trailer, at least.
Well, no, dude,
And
the beginning of the trailer is Sephiroth with Cloud. That to me, that was pretty clearly Cloud retelling his story of when he went to Nibelheim. Like after Midgar, when they go to Calm and Cloud is like narrating and telling a story. To me, that's what that looked
yeah.
like. So,
well, yeah, but I mean, nothing else really showed any like open world aspect. It didn't
yeah,
seem
they haven't shown much yet. I'm hoping there's an
so.
open world. I really am. But
Yeah, I mean, I want to see more. Like, I would like for it to follow the original story a little bit more, just with its variances, like they did with the first one, like but it seemed like it was going to be really different to me, like really, really different.
I
And I
think
was
it will be.
also, yeah, and I also think that I was also disappointed a little bit that Jesse wasn't like shown, because I was just like, I'm just always crossing my fingers like, I want her to live.
I
But
think she's alive, but it's not going to be. It's probably something you'll find out when the game comes out. I don't know that they're going to reveal that in trailers, but maybe
who's the
not. I
guy?
mean, they did that with Stranger Things.
Who's the guy that looks like Charlie Sheen from Hot Shots?
Biggs.
Yeah. Trade Biggs. Give us Jesse back, please.
I'm pretty sure Jesse's alive, which is funny because in the original game, all 3, Biggs, Wedge, Jesse, they all died, and now in this one, it's looking like none of them did.
Yeah,
it's looking like they all survived. It's
they're
like a superhero show. No one dies.
Yeah, they just get
It's
really
basically
big
anime,
boobs.
so we're good.
Yeah,
give him a Phoenix down. Give him a Phoenix down. We're good to go.
Yeah, I don't see why they don't just do that. Doesn't make any sense.
I know. Seriously. Give everyone a Phoenix down.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm beyond excited for this. I do think it's going to be different, but I think that they're going to be smart and like follow most of the beats of the original Final Fantasy VII, but there are going to be big differences as well. Like, I fully expect, and I'm sorry if you guys don't want to hear spoilers, but this is from like a 25-year-old game now, Final Fantasy VII. I fully expect that Sephiroth is going to be still at the crater, and that I honestly think that might be where this part 2 ends. Is that they're going to release Sephiroth
like
I think,
at the end of disc 1?
Well, disc 1 ends with Aerith's death, and then it's like near the beginning of disc 2 when they go to the crater, and Cloud ends up giving Sephiroth the black materia, and then Sephiroth is basically resurrected. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's where part 2 ends. Now, I think there's going to be big differences still. I think something crazy is going to happen, but right now I think we're fighting, more of the Genova version of Sephiroth, as well as maybe like a variant of Sephiroth. It's weird in FF7 Remake. Like chapters 1 through 16 pretty much follow the main story of the game with like expanded stuff. And then all of a sudden chapter 17 and 18, you're like, what? Like those last 2 chapters of FF7 Remake, it was like crazy stuff.
Yeah. But they left some things unanswered, but we'll see some more. But the last thing I want to say, and we'll get down to Obi-Wan, is make the side quests better. The side quests were so boring.
They were awful.
So boring.
There were none of them. They were boring. I totally agree with you.
I don't want to play with orphan kids and break boxes and crap. No.
I agree. I agree.
Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about Obi-Wan. So we got our 6 episodes in. The last episode, in my opinion, is definitely the best one. But let's jump into the season overall. How are you feeling about the season overall, Max?
Overall, I loved it, dude. I mean, there's moments of lull at times, but overall, I'd say it's solid, man. I think The Mandalorian is still my favorite like Star Wars TV show that's come out, but Obi-Wan Kenobi was pretty close second, and this episode in particular was fantastic. It still didn't give me quite the feelings that I got like seeing Luke in Mando season 2, or even like seeing Luke and Ahsoka together in the Book of Boba Fett. Like none of the moments in this were quite that impactful to me, but there were a lot of moments in episode 6 that like made me really happy, and like I was almost in tears, and I was like grinning from ear to ear for like the last 20 minutes of the episode. It delivered. Yeah. And I'm assuming we're going to get into spoilers, right? We didn't talk about that beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll put that up here for these guys. Spoiler time. We're getting into it. Okay. So yeah, I feel the same way though. Like there wasn't as much nostalgia happening. And I think maybe that's why it wasn't kind of like the same as Mandalorian, because Mandalorian it felt really nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't as much of that, but it was just it was awesome. Like the Vader Obi-Wan fight was great.
Seeing the Emperor, seeing Qui-Gon,
seeing the Emperor Qui-Gon, that and actually the Qui-Gon part did give me a little chills, like
I was so happy.
Just when Liam Neeson actually started speaking, I was like, yes. Qui-Gon.
He looked a little funny, but whatever. I mean, it's been like 20 years, so I can forgive him for aging. He didn't look bad. I think like the facial hair was a little too long or something. I don't know. This is nitpicky because I loved it. It just something looked a little off.
Yeah, it was so cool. And the thing is, like, I wish that I feel like there was so much effort put into the last episode. Like, let's make this great. Like, let's close this season out, on an awesome note. And I feel like they didn't really put that same level of effort and care into the rest of the season. And that's kind of what bugged me a little bit. There's a lot of things. Like there's a lot of things that they did not do well. The most famous one is the Leia scene getting chased. Like that was so bad. That was awful. Awful, bad. Right? Like
those are the most incompetent pirates ever. You can't catch a 10-year-old girl. That was bad.
Yes. Yeah. Like Home Alone level awfulness. Like so it's just but the there's a bunch of other little things like that. And really with 6 episodes, because originally they were only going to have this one season, right? They only just recently were like, oh, it did really well, so now we're going to have season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And like my thing is like Obi-Wan needed to like re-get his power back a lot faster. Like like he just kind of like really slowly, and then even in the last episode it was like halfway through that he was like, I'm super powerful again, and and like So if that was going to be all that there was, that would have been, that would have been disappointing. Like, I want to see, him come back. So I'm hoping that the next season will have more of that, but I wonder what they're going to do, if it feels like he's had his final showdown with Darth Vader before before A New Hope.
I agree.
So I mean, where are they going to take it? What are they going to do?
Yeah, I wonder the same thing, because a lot of people have been complaining about plot holes, continuity, plot holes, things like that. And I think they did a really good job tying up those loose ends. Sure, there's going to be people that are going to complain and disagree with me on that, but I think overall they tied them up quite well. I mean, one of the things people complained about is that Vader says, "When last we met, I was but the learner, and now I'm the master." Well, as we see at the end of this episode, Vader gets beaten by Obi-Wan. So yeah, he's still the learner. But that means that next time they meet, he'll have trained a lot more. He'll have grown in power, making him the master. So that line's fine. I know some people don't like that Leia doesn't seem to know who Obi-Wan is in A New Hope, but yet we have this whole season where they've met. Well, at the end of the episode, Obi-Wan tells her, basically, you need to pretend we don't know each other, because it's extremely dangerous for you to admit that you know who I am. I'm like, okay, that clears that up. I mean, there were some people thinking there was going to be like a forced mind wipe thing, and I was thinking that was going to happen, actually. And I'm glad it didn't. I actually like this better, because then it maintains the idea of why she named her kid Ben, and it kind of clears up that continuity error, if you want to call it that. So I loved seeing so much in this episode. I mean, I loved seeing Vader and Obi-Wan fight. I thought it wasn't the best Star Wars like lightsaber fight ever, but it was really good. And Obi-Wan pulling all those rocks up and chucking them at Vader was freaking awesome. Vader basically burying Obi-Wan under a mountain of not molten rocks, but just rocks. That was really cool. Like, I feel like they didn't waste a lot of time in this last episode, and it was really appreciated. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know what fight scene I would say is better, like right now. But I loved like when Obi-Wan was like, I don't know, he somehow like overcame his like mental block, right? And he pops out and he's like gets back into the fight, and then he just like at one point he just like stretches his arms out and all those rocks come up behind him.
Yeah.
I was like a freaking Goku moment. Like, that was awesome. Like,
yeah, it was really
like
cool.
He just went Super Saiyan and all the rocks are flying up by him. Like, that's what it made me think of. And he just like starts hurling. Like, that was cool. And that was kind of made me like thinking like, oh yeah, like this is what you get for kind of like doing this same thing to Luke in A New Hope, right? Or not in A New Hope, in Empire Strikes Back. And
it definitely pulled from those themes though. Like, that's like Vader fought like I expected him to from the original trilogy, where he's using the Force and throwing stuff at Obi-Wan, and he did that to Luke all the time. He was constantly using the Force when he fought. I thought this fight was super appropriate for what Vader would do in combat against the skilled lightsaber wielder.
Yeah, and then they kind of had a throwback to Star Wars Rebels a little bit. The way that Anakin cuts his helmet was very reminiscent of Ahsoka when she.
Oh yeah, when she can see part of his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I'm imagining we're gonna see some, comparison photos on Facebook.
Probably.
Of, Ahsoka facing him down and stuff.
Seeing that in live action was awesome. And people, I've heard a lot of people complaining. They're like, why'd they even have Hayden Christensen come back if they're not going to show him? And, that was before episode 5. Obviously last week they showed him. But I was like, guys, just watch the show. Like, he's playing Vader most of the time. I know he's in a suit and it's James Earl Jones's voice. And sometimes it's not Hayden Christensen, but he's playing him. And then obviously last week we got the flashback. And then this week we get half his face in there and we can hear his voice intermixed with the James Earl Jones voice. And it was awesome. I loved it. I wanted that. The only thing is I wanted that conversation between them to go on a little bit longer, but overall it was so good. It was really emotional and just it delivered mostly like everything that I was wanting out of that moment.
Yeah.
But can we talk about the absolute best part of the episode?
Yeah.
This is the absolute best part of the episode. When Obi-Wan meets Luke and he says, "Hello there."
Oh, I know, right? I was like, finally, but nobody said General Kenobi, so I was like, dang it.
Well, I mean, there was like, you mentioned that like there wasn't as much nostalgia in this one. I'm gonna say like I thought there was a massive amount of nostalgia, like Obi-Wan saying, "I will do what I must," seeing Hayden Christensen as Vader, him like the poses that he was doing with his lightsaber, the stances, obviously Palpatine being it, like there was tons of nostalgia. I think the reason that I think the reason that maybe I didn't get the feelings I've gotten previously is that now I'm expecting it. Whereas when Luke showed up in Mando, I wasn't expecting that. Like, what? Or when, again, Ahsoka and Luke were together in Book of Boba Fett, didn't expect that. Cad Bane, didn't expect that. But now I'm like, okay, now I'm expecting them to bring in the big guns. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want that. I don't want to say that. I don't think it necessarily cheapens the moment, but now I'm expecting it. So seeing Qui-Gon Jinn, seeing Palpatine, I almost was like, yeah, Palpatine's going to be here. In fact, as soon as I saw Vader sitting in his throne on Mustafar, I was like, he's talking to Palpatine. And then like the image showed up and it was Palpatine. And I was like, and as soon as the first episode aired, I was like, oh yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn's going to be in the show. I just thought he was going to be in it earlier, but it makes sense that they waited till the very end. I think they tied things up really well. And I'm sorry, I know this is supposed to be AGP Quickies. I'm talking way too much. I'm just excited.
Well, you heard it from Max, Disney. You need to keep delivering those big guns. But yeah, let's wrap it up, guys. I do have one quick announcement, and that is going to be who the winner is of the Funko Pop from last week. And that winner was Arc Excel. So we're going to reach out to Arc Excel, and we'll get that pop over to you as soon as we can. And we'll have some more giveaways in some future episodes. So get ready for that. But for now, remember, never underestimate the value of a quickie.